Monday, March 29th. Across from my balcony, I heard a strange scratching and saw this man making circles on the styrofoam. He has a net covering his face, and his arms and legs are covered in styrofoam pellets. Roughing up the styrofoam, he was leaving what looks like snow all over the dirt. Up on the scaffolding, this worker is sending puffs of white pellets into the sky. Some are starting to land on my balcony. Previously, Linda Gibbons had told me that I could take tours with the foreman, and I was very excited to get back inside the fence, so I decided to start with trash detail by the pool area. After a couple hours, I had filled a black trash bag and was worn out, so decided to go look at the fitness classroom and the wood shop. Fitness classroom has wallboard windows. The black frames are filled with windows and there's doors. But what's that color in the corner? Pointing my camera up, I see multiple panels of bright colors, maybe to absorb sound. Checking out the area where gym equipment will be, they have been working in the ceiling, but nothing much on the walls or the floors. In the area that will be the new wood shop, they have insulated and done a lot of work in the ceiling, but again, there's a long way to go. 3 steps take you down into the parking structure. To the right is the electrical room. This room is not very big, but the equipment is huge and looks very complicated. It controls power, I'm sure, but I don't have a clue how, so don't ask. Standing in the parking structure, I can look out and see C&M. As I pan around, I can tell there are still a lot of supplies to be installed in the IL apartments. Not sure if these are pipes for the ceiling or connectors for heating or air conditioning ducts, but there's quite a few boxes of them. These door frames were stacked taller than I am and are waiting to go into the completed rooms. I also found half a dozen pre-formed shower walls with double safety bars. Later, I found out that I'm only supposed to be on the site accompanied by a foreman. I'm sorry, but I really am glad I picked up the trash. Another day, I heard a rumbling below my balcony, and the sky track went up by the Mikasa dining room with a very large dumpster. This worker spent several hours collecting trash from styrofoam and the empty buckets from that ugly gray glue. On the scaffolding, a worker was making nice rounded window frames with gray stucco. As this day wore on, more and more of the building turned gray. The sky was a gorgeous blue. As the day came to a close, the crew had made a really good dent in the white walls. Won't be long before they're all gray. Preformed trim runs around the building toward the point of the solarium. Walking up the south sidewalk, I watched as these workers and the little cat tried to replace dirt up against this preformed trim. Up above them on the solarium, SkyTrack is delivering something other than wallboard. It's insulation. It comes 4 rolls bound together, and these 2 workers are really struggling to get it off of the SkyTrack onto the deck safely. Walking past the atrium, I stop. Something looks different. There are shades on the windows. Oliver, the AL foreman, is directing men to put a fence up according to the fire marshal's report for emergency access. Road down from Alta Vista is being used as storage for things that are finished but might be used again. Molly Caskey got a great picture of this flowering plum and the IL building. From the C&M fence, I could see that they had started building balconies on the western corner of the IL building. In the wee hours of Wednesday night, I heard weird noises on the construction site and looked out to see snow blowing horizontally. Thursday morning, it was still blowing, and the site was making all sorts of groaning noises. Some crew came to work anyway and spent a very cold day unloading more and more rolls of insulation. Many of you know that our drone is named Wilbur. We chose this based on the Wright brothers and the history at Kitty Hawk with first flight. For some reason, Wilbur is convinced that he wasn't named for them after all. For some reason, he's gotten the idea that we named him after the sweet little piglet in the children's story, Charlotte's Web. Although this was not true, when you look at this sweet face, how could you object to being named after something this cute? Wilbur complained that pigs are big, smelly, dirty creatures, and I told him that the only reason pigs roll in mud is because the light-colored white and pink sunburn easily. Pigs are friendly and loyal and cheerful, and they're really smarter than dogs, it seems. He wasn't convinced, so I kept talking. I told him pigs were adventuresome, and we had found one that wants to go on a ride on our scooter. He thought that might be intriguing. Back to that dirty issue. In the Bahamas, pigs swim daily, so they are extremely clean. He's not looking convinced. Tour boats come from all around the Bahamas so people can swim with and see these remarkable pigs. Wilbur's scowl is getting a little less serious. These woolly pigs remind me of English barristers with those curly white wigs. Certainly they must be very wise also. Anyone who keeps a pet pig raves about what wonderful friends they are, even though they might outweigh their owner by several hundred pounds. Kune pigs make great pets. They are docile and much smaller. Looks like a bunch of Dalmatian babies to me. Teacup pigs are all the rage. This little guy next to the navel orange starts out at 9 ounces, but can eventually weigh 30 to 60 pounds. So, I live on the 3rd floor. You think I could smuggle this sweet little piglet into my apartment? Maybe not. Teacup pigs make friends easily with others. This is a good character trait. As I watched, Wilbur's frown turned pensive, and I even saw him smile a little. But do you remember that old saying, "I'll believe this when pigs fly"? For the record, I think flying pigs are a hoot, but don't tell Wilbur.
As always, we have to look around to see how they get access to the roof. Surprisingly, the potty is back this week. They're on the 5th level. Last week the windows were all in, but this week they've put plastic over all of the windows with a little red trim around it, and already the wind has torn a lot of the plastic. As we come around the east end, we see that they've painted it entirely yellow. They're working a little bit on one of the balconies there. Maybe that's painting, can't really tell. And it looks like our carrot patch is safe for this week anyway. Hi, it's Wednesday, March 31st, 11 a.m. It's 40 degrees and sunny. If you look back over there in the northeast corner, you can see that they've started building the retaining wall in the corner there. As we come along the south wall here, we can see that not much has changed, and the scaffolding remains in about the same state that it was last week. And as we come along toward the end down here, you can see that the roofing has been cleaned up around Block Monster, around the outside and on top. Last week they were just starting the taping and sealing on the west end, and now we can see that it's pretty well done for this week. Last week we were on Titan, a moon of Saturn. So this week we have to decide whether to return to Earth or to go even further out into the weird and mysterious. I asked Wilbur, and all he wanted to know was what was happening to Ingenuity. As far as I know, Ingenuity is still strapped to the belly of Perseverance and is being released step by step, ready to fly around April 8th. He said, "Oh," in a sort of disappointed tone of voice. "Why are you so sad?" And he said to me, "Ginny called me a pig." Whoa, I didn't know what to say to that. So, to try to distract him and get him focused on our project, I said to him, "Do you realize she is more younger than you are now?" He said, "More younger?" "Yes," I answered. "She spent 7 months traveling very fast relative to Earth, so her time and thus her aging was slowed down. She didn't age as much as you did, Wilbur. So she is essentially a time traveler because she arrived at the Mars future without aging as much as you did here on Earth." Wilbur looked at me and said, "You are full of it." No, I said. "It's because of that Einstein guy and the nature of light. It's called time dilation. Go ahead, Google it. Read the Wikipedia page." "Whoa," Wilbur said. "Too much for me." Maybe so, but you need to realize that time dilation is real and has practical effects. For example, in GPS, which you need for navigating your missions. GPS depends on clocks in the satellites being synchronized to the clocks on the ground. The 5 to 10 meter accuracy of GPS points on the ground depends on the clocks being synchronized to an accuracy within 20 to 30 nanoseconds, that is, 20 to 30 billionths of a second. Special relativity predicts that without correction, clocks will drift by 7 microseconds per day. Microseconds, millionths of a second. And general relativity, that is, taking into account differences in gravity, predicts a time drift of 45 microseconds per day. So if these time drifts were not corrected for the fact that time passes at different rates, GPS would be useless within 2 or 3 minutes. To emphasize my point, I said navigation errors would amount to 10 kilometers after a day. We can't have that. Why, with that much error, you could have container ships going sideways in the Suez Canal. Wilbur looked at me, shook his head very slowly, and said, "Time travel, time dilation, relativity, hocus pocus. Things were better when the earth was flat. Let's go on to assisted living. I have a headache." We're here at assisted living, and I want you to tell me what's missing in this picture. The roof seems mostly done. The scaffolding has about the same status. There seem to be some new ditches, but what's missing? Well, what's missing is there are no people working and no trucks. There's never no trucks, not even on the retaining wall. I think we got the wrong building. I think this is actually a deserted Cold War Russian military fortress. Maybe everybody's actually over on the back side where they can't be seen having a big party. Let's go look. That's more like it. Those guys are working, and as you can see, they're well into the second coat, and this coat seems to be colored the right color, what's going to be the final color. So that's really exciting, but now we pass on to the West End, and the West End looks the same as last week and the week before and the week before. So there's not anything very interesting going on down here. So we'll sign off for the week and see you next week.